Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream. I'm going to do your August 31st Spiritual Principle Day in a meditation. I hope you're doing well this morning. Let's go ahead and get into that meditation. Fidelity to the NA message. Fidelity suggests that we are true and faithful to our message, that it is consistent on all occasions. Guiding principles, tradition 10, spiritual principle. As a spiritual principle, fidelity signifies loyalty and commitment. We clarify our shared understanding of the disease of addiction and our common solution when we share the NA message with fidelity. Translators think similarly about fidelity as a concept in their work. In translations, NA or otherwise, fidelity refers to how well a translated document corresponds to the original. Although computers can substitute the words of one language with those of another, the results often make little sense. It takes the human touch and the work of skilled translators to convey the meaning, style, and tone of any piece of writing. They do more than transcribe, they interpret. In Narcotics Anonymous, local translations committees and their professional partners assure that translated literature is faithful to our message. That's no easy task. Each new language group has to grapple with words and phrases like addict, clean, and the disease of addiction to figure out how to capture their meaning, essence, and spirit in the target language. NA members serving on local translation committees play an important role in ensuring fidelity. Their experience with the NA program and often impressive language skills help to ensure that translated NA literature precisely reflects the ideals and spirit of the original. Whether translating literature, speaking at a Unity Day celebration, or sharing with our home group, we strive to use NA language with the same precision. A clear NA message is about more than avoiding certain words. Clarity comes from living the NA way and addressing the disease of addiction with our program of recovery. When our predecessors wrote, we admitted we were powerless over our addiction. They focused step one on the disease, not the drugs. This stroke of genius makes the first step relevant to members at any phase of recovery. When we use innate language to convey our experience with fidelity, we contribute to an atmosphere of identification for all to hear. The NA message mirrors our experience. Fidelity to it solidifies our bond with other members and our common solution. As I share and listen, I will make an effort to faithfully connect the dots between lived experience and the proposition that any addict, can stop using drugs, lose the desire to use, and find a new way to live. Made it through that. Let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please, and thank you. What a powerful message talking about fidelity to the NA message. And I felt myself coming to life because I love words. I love the English language. My first degree was actually in communications, but I intended for it to end up being an English degree. I love the English language. I love language, period. And I love the language of NA. When we talk about the fidelity to this message, it is a stroke of genius, the way the first step was written. because it's more than the use of drugs. We're talking about the disease of addiction. And so that's why this is, you've heard that terminology, like a living document. A living document like the Constitution of the USA, right? A living document is something that is applicable always. It it changes with time because people change, but it's still applicable within the change. So what we have here in our NA literature is a living document. See, I don't have to come here and just talk about alcohol, pill popping, heroin, crack. I don't have to just come here and talk about my drug of choice. I don't have to, because the way that the language is written, the way that it's written, I'm talking about the disease of addiction. So whether I have 1 day or I have 100 days or I have 10 years or I have several decades, the language makes it applicable to my life. And my lived experience is what I bring to the program. I don't bring your lived experience, I bring mine. Right. And as I bring my lived experience to this living document, the way it sits within the program of Narcotics Anonymous may look a little bit different than the next person's. And it should, but there's some things that are the same. The similarities is what I want to focus on. Because in the similarities, right, it solidifies our bond with other members and our common solution. That's why we tell the newcomer. It's not that we're saying you're not unique. You definitely are unique, right? In the broad stroke of the word, you are definitely unique. But don't come into Narcotics Anonymous focusing on your uniqueness, right? Don't do that. Not, at least not right now. I would say never, but don't do that, because that will push you more towards focusing on the differences. And you will use that to rationalize, especially with our addict minds. We will use that to rationalize why we don't need to be around these people and those people and them and they, instead of us and we. Don't do that initially. When you get down the road and you're starting to do some really deep work in your 4th and 5th step and your 6th and 7th, right? Making amends and stuff like that, right? Making prompt amends on a daily basis, right? Maintaining conscious contact through prayer and meditation, step 11, right? Having had your spiritual awakening, step 12, carrying the message, right? When you get into some of that deeper work, I want to say deeper work in the sense of comparison, but when you get into that work, you're going to start seeing how it is you are actually unique and how to use it as an asset rather than a liability. So it's coming. It's coming. But that's not what we're talking about here. Because even when it comes, you are still going to, at the end of the day, have the same last name. My name is MightyStream and I'm an addict. You're still going to be an addict in recovery. And you can flip those words any way you want to. I'm a recovered addict. I'm an addict in recovery. I'm a grateful recovering addict. But I guarantee you, one thing is certain, two things for sure. You are an addict. And all of that other beautiful stuff that you get to add to that is a direct result of your recovery. That's it, and that's all. So we want to make sure that we have fidelity. I hate the word fidelity in the sense of it's is weighted, right? Is weighted because most people think of it in regards to relationships, right? Infidelity, cheating on your mate. Fidelity, remaining faithful to your mate, right? It's so weighted, but it is a term that has other use, and it means being committed to what the original is, whether it's a person, a document, terminology, a theme, a message. Have you ever started a project and someone decided to, they were faithful to the cause initially, right? Initially, they were faithful to the cause, but you guys had an argument and then they decided, I'm going off on my own. Many businesses have split as a result of that. Many name changes have happened as a result of that. And at the end of the day, maybe they birthed something that's far more successful than what you guys had planned together. But the point is that there was no faithfulness to the cause. There was infidelity. And that will always and forever be a part of the split, no matter what. How'd you get started? I got started with blue jeans. And I realized that I didn't like the way blue jeans was getting down, so I decided to go to slacks. That's how groups split up, right? So we know a lot about infidelity, but fidelity, how much do we know about that? Let's yearn for that and stretch for that today, okay? My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you. Have a beautiful day on purpose. I intend to.